Star Wars mostly lives and dies at the hand of the Jedi Order, iconic symbols of the Republic and Peacekeepers of the galaxy, noble knights on a crusade. But what happens when the crusade becomes the Clone Wars? The integrity of the Jedi Order comes under question, with many Jedi within the Order asking the same thing. Peacekeepers becoming generals and pawns of the Republic. This would be the biggest trial of the Jedi Order. So let's take a look at some of the fallen Jedi who abandoned the Jedi Order. By far one of the most important and interesting stories, Count Dooku has a detailed history on his conversion to the dark side. Unlike other Jedi who were taken into the temple at the state of infancy in their life, Dooku was discovered for the Jedi Order early in his teen years. Dooku was born into royalty on Serenno, a planet that was known and prideful of their independence from the Republic and the Jedi Order. Fully aware of the strength and status Serenno had in the galaxy, he remembers its culture, pride, and disdain Serenno had within the Outer Rim. He remembers his father and sisters, but his sisters were too young to remember him when he left for the Jedi Order, and his father was the ruler of Serenno, and regarded the Jedi Order as freaks and unwanted in many parts of the galaxy for the problems that they cause. Dooku's father turned him into the Jedi Order, fearful of his powers and harm to others and himself, leaving Dooku abandoned in the Force rather than awaiting a Jedi safely to get his child. Dooku's father would rather have seen him killed in the Forest by wolves than see him become a Jedi. And this is Count Dooku's introduction to the Jedi Order. And once he was in the Order, he struggled with his own personal challenges, from the change of Serenno to the Jedi Order, but he did well. Dooku's master was Yoda. He was trained in high regard to be the best within the Order. A promising Jedi Count Dooku was, but he began to see the realities of the Republic and Jedi Order. Countless missions where the Republic senators and governors were caught in corruption for money and exploitation, and he was frustrated with the ways of the Jedi Order for allowing this to happen and often aiding and abiding it. Dooku began being tempted by the dark side, with his past memories still haunting him, and his education was some of the finest on Serenno in his young years, and his father was the symbol of an independent planet. Dooku knew the Jedi Order and the Republic could and should be doing better than it currently is, and his conspiracies began with deleting Kamino off the records in the early seeds of the Clone Wars, and his action was carefully plotted by Darth Sidious, his master, to end the Republic and Jedi Order. Dooku is the perfect apprentice for his upbringing and wisdom and ideas for the galaxy, but ultimately he was nothing more than a part of Palpatine's plan. But his confidence in the Jedi Order was waning every day. Inaction, self-pleasure, and politics plagued the Jedi Order, and only Dooku saw it. And when his apprentice Qui-Gon Jinn, now a Jedi Master, encountered Darth Maul, a presumed Sith Lord, Dooku advised the Council to immediately look into this, but the Council simply writes it off. The Sith are dead and the Jedi will look into this. This resulted in Qui-Gon being murdered on Naboo by Darth Maul, and the precursors to the Clone Wars. Left with no option, Dooku now sees the true faults of the Jedi Order for allowing this to happen, and joins the Sith. His secrets were almost revealed by the Jedi Council member Yaddle, but Dooku and Sidious killed her, and Darth Sidious now had the blackmail on Dooku to be his servant. By this time, Dooku left the Jedi Order and returned to Serenno, reclaiming his royal status and leader of the planet. Here are the seeds of the Separatist Alliance. His ideas and philosophies spread across the galaxy. Independence from the Republic and their taxes. Many Outer Rim planets sympathized with his words and followed his leadership. Creating the Separatist Alliance in secret, the Trade Federation, Banking Clan, and Techno Union were all in agreement for the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and the Clone Wars has begun. The fallen Jedi, until the very end of the Clone Wars, was the leader of the CIS. Its capital was Serenno, and Outer Rim planets wanted out of the Republic, and wanted more prosperity for their individual planets. And for hundreds of years, the Outer Rim has served the core worlds for what? Dooku was the ideal leader for this war. Any underserved planet or species now had a leader to take arms up with. Dooku was the former Jedi who fought in the Clone Wars, and was the leader and founder of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. And without Dooku's fall to the dark side, the Clone Wars simply would not have happened. Pong Krell was another fallen Jedi, and by this time Dooku's words and advice was heard all over the Jedi Temple, his opinions of the Jedi and the Republic, with many calling him a political fanatic that the Jedi could not save, but his ideas crept into the Jedi Order, fighting a war led by their former member. Pong Krell was one of the first to fall to the dark side during the Clone Wars. His tactics in the Clone Wars were a win at all costs, being ruthless and treating clones as disposable, and Krell was unusually callous and arrogant by Jedi standards, more of a general than Jedi in this state of the war. He was able to have visions of the future before and during the Battle of Umbara, of how the clones would betray the Jedi Order and their true intentions. He would begin slaying troopers in a feat of madness, betraying his then current allies and the clones and other Jedi, and his outbreak would be forewarned in the first of many fallen Jedi during the Clone Wars. Of course, we all know the fall of Anakin Skywalker. His fears and lust for power is what led him to his demise, and the betrayal of Dooku and Krell in one way or another influenced Anakin Skywalker to turn to the dark side. And with Anakin now Lord Vader, the Empire rose to power. The Grand Inquisitor was once a Jedi Temple guard, but he is now the leader of the Jedi hunting Inquisitors. We don't know too much about his time in the Jedi Order, but we know during his time in the Empire is where he left his mark, and many Jedi became Inquisitors during the reign of the Empire, like Barriss Offee, the second and fourth sister. And these are just a few examples of Jedi who became Inquisitors. Many of them had no choice, being tortured and brainwashed to hunt the remaining Jedi. Others fell to the dark side before Order 66, seeing the faults of the Republic and Jedi Order. During wartime, when the Jedi were pushed to their limits, many Jedi cracked and turned to the dark side. Other Jedi remained hidden during and after Order 66, and even fell to the dark side. Taron Malicos survived Order 66 but fled to Dathomir and became a dark side user, falling under the spell of Dathomir and the Night Sisters, although we do not know if Taron Malicos willingly joined the dark side or was corrupted by the Night Sisters and the planet Dathomir after Order 66. And then there was Bode Akuna, a Jedi survivor secretly working for the Empire as an unauthorized experiment by an Imperial commander, and although he was blackmailed into working with the Empire, he still did their biddings. And the main villain of Jedi Survivor, Dagan Gera, a High Republic Jedi who felt betrayed by the Order, and hundreds of years after his cryosleep ended, he immediately tried to continue his crusade to end the Jedi Order. And one of the best new examples of fallen Jedi is Baylan Skoll. He outlasted the Republic, the Empire, and with it the Jedi Order. He is now working for Morgan Elsbeth as a mercenary, but clearly trained in the ways of the dark side of the Force. And Baylan may be one of the last true Knights of the Jedi Temple still alive, but he abandoned that life a long time ago. And fallen Jedi certainly have their place in Star Wars, as they were once great symbols of the Republic, now representing the opposite. And as a category of characters in Star Wars, fallen Jedi are in good company. Most of them have great stories of why they turned to the dark side, with Anakin's being more or less the main story of Star Wars, and I certainly love the concept and characters we see as fallen Jedi. And I definitely want to see more, but I think they should be continued as carefully crafted characters within the Jedi Order that end up falling to the dark side. So with that, those are a couple Jedi examples who fell to the dark side before, during, and after the Clone Wars. So with that, subscribe if you would like, and until next video, goodbye.